Namaste. Welcome to our continuing series, Interviews with Aurovillians. And today I'm very happy to have with us Pavel. Namaste.
Namaste.
Pavel, how did you first hear of Sri Aurobindo and Mother? You are from Ukraine, is it correct? Well, from Siberia first, I think, no?
I was born in Siberia,
yes.
And at the age of 7, we moved to
Caucasus, wasn't it?
Caucasus, yeah,
yes.
South of Russia.
Uh-huh.
I grew up there mainly. It's mountain area, and the trekking, hiking is popular. So I met one very interesting person in mountains, in hiking, and we became friends. And after a few years, he introduced me into step by step into psychological aspect of life, then into spiritual, then into Sat Prem's book Adventure of Consciousness, and then from there I had known about Sri Aurobindo and Mother.
It was a book that many of us in America grew up on.
Yeah.
It was so clearly written. And Mother said that Sri Aurobindo stood behind him as he wrote the book and guided his hand. When did you first come to Auroville?
First I came here at the end of 2011, at the beginning of 2012, as a tourist with the same friend as I mentioned and his family. I actually planned to move to a bigger city in Russia, collected some funds for that, but my friend recommended me to spend them for traveling to India to watch Auroville and Ashram and India.
So he actually recommended Auroville?
He recommended, he is very cautious, he recommended to travel and to see. And when I came to Auroville, I met one Aurovillian, Vlad, Russian Aurovillian. He is not in Auroville anymore.
Is it Yatsenko? Vladimir Yatsenko?
Vlad...
a Sanskrit man?
Vlad is a friend of Vladimir. It's two different people. His name is also Vladimir, but because he came later, he called himself, introduced himself as Vlad, to have no confusion between names. And now
he's not there anymore in Auroville?
He's back in St. Petersburg because of health reasons. And that time he was in Auroville, and I met only him, basically.
What did he look like?
Around 60 years old man.
Yeah.
With his wife. Quite strong. And
did he work at Matra Mandir at all?
Yeah, he worked in Matra Mandir
with
I know him. Electricals and electronics.
Yes, I know him very well.
And
tall man also.
Yeah.
Quite a tall man.
Yeah, quite tall.
He's a good friend of mine. Very good friend.
Yeah.
In fact, I met him just last year. Or year before that. Here.
Where?
In Matra Mandir.
Oh, that is Vladimir.
Yes, electrical
department. Vlad worked with him. Vlad is a shorter and a bit.
But I remember him. Stocky fellow, heavy set fellow.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember him also very well. I have photos of him.
He is a friend of Vladimir and was really good support for him in electronics.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So you met him?
I met him and his wife. He was the only Aurovillian known by my friend who brought me to Auroville. And
do you know the story of his name? He told me.
Vlad.
He said, I'm so short, they cut my name off, and so I'm just called Vlad.
Yeah, I'm quite sure it's also because to avoid confusion between two names, Vladimir and another Vladimir.
Yes.
So they both Vladimirs actually.
So he took you around Auroville, or?
I interviewed him
Ah,
about how people come here, what their ways of becoming newcomers and Aurovillians. He told everything is different. It depends on person. Each individual has his own way and his own relations with the mother and with Auroville, his own image of Auroville, and so his own way. Everything is individual. So there are no general rules in terms of personal qualities or funds available or relations with people to enter Auroville and to become a part of it. And it inspired me. And
so this was 2011-12.
yeah.
And then?
Then I went back to Russia and starting collecting money for coming here to become a newcomer. I decided to try because the idea was quite promising, and I saw not much ways to dedicate my labor and consciousness, of course, in a country such in Russia or in any other country. And Auroville seemed a place where I could dedicate it, and it can be used in more conscious way. Labor and personal qualities and all this devotion.
What were your studies in Russia?
Technical studies, medical equipment.
But I have learned from you that you love flowers.
Oh, yeah, in childhood, since maybe 7 years old, I had a chain of hobbies, different hobbies. And the first of them was flowers. I think it's because it's quite simple to take care about flowers, and also you can have more direct connection with flowers without mental development, because when you are little child you don't have much mental development, but you can connect very close to flowers by feeling them. It's actually indoor flowers in Russia because climate is cold, winter is cold, so we have a lot of tropical flowers. We plant them in pots indoor.
What do you remember? Some of the ones that you grew? Some of the names?
Pelargonia, chlorophytums, that money tree, and cacti and some other succulents. The more showy, more fancy flowers entered Russia later in 2000 years. That time it was more simple and easy growing, more sustainable flowers like this.
So when did you return to Auroville? You saved money.
Yeah, it took 3 years to collect some for flight ticket and for some initial expenses. I came in 2014 for volunteering. That time we could volunteer with a tourist visa. I volunteered for 3 months, June, July, August of 2014, and had to go back to my country to get entry visa to become newcomer. The time it was this order.
Yes, I remember that.
And I came back after monsoon in December and became newcomer. newcomer process was lasting longer than 1 year, more than 1.5 years, basically because it took time to find a housing solution. They didn't give Aurovillian status before I found a place to stay. In other aspects, it was fine.
Where did you work?
I worked in Matrimandir metal workshop with Jean Pougot. It was a continuation of work with him, because volunteering period I spent also with him. It was a construction site, and we built volunteer houses just behind the Sire building. The design of houses was made by him. And when we finished, I asked him, do you have other projects in Auroville? Can I join and participate in their implementation? Then he told that he works in Matrimandir and welcomed me there in metal workshop.
And what was your experience there?
It was a joyful experience. He introduced me one of his dreams. His and Roger's dream. They wanted to illuminate the stairs into amphitheater. When you come up to amphitheater, there are 32 stairs, radial stairs, from down to the benches. And they dreamed about to illuminate it in moonlight style, very calm.
To illuminate?
Illuminate.
Yes.
To have the stairs visible at evening, at night time. Visible enough to walk, but not bright. To have it in moonlight, very calm way, because it's a place of concentration. And they had some initial design inputs and some trial models, and I started from them. And it took a few months to have a prototype, and then testing, then meeting, discussion. I actually was kind of a conductor, collecting wishes, information from 4 people basically: Jean, Vladimir, Arnaud, and Pierre. They all contributed. Arnaud told that the lights and bulbs should be invisible. They should be really under the benches. Vladimir told that it should be a bit more power than initial prototype. So Pierre told it should be very calm and gentle, without sharp borders between light and shade. Jean likes simplicity and robust design, and he helped with the final implementation.
So you knew welding, soldering, brazing, everything? You knew all of these things?
I was aware about this, but of course I needed workers to do it, to implement it. I made some final adjustment. For example, to go with the light fitting into the bench, Banu, the stone master, made a grinding, but I finalized it to have fine adjustment. And then, each person contributed. I couldn't implement everything what people wanted to have there, and there was some difficulties, but finally, after years, people are happy. This bonfire, Jean came to me and told that he is very happy about the result.
Wonderful. So, what are you doing today, these days?
Well, these days I work in Aureka.
Oreka.
Yeah, it's a metal workshop unit near Aquadin, near Aspiration. And I do 3D modeling of parts, of metal parts, for equipment which produces earth bricks, compressed earth bricks.
Ah, the earth bricks. Yes, I've seen those. I know those very
Yeah.
well. Yes.
You know, now we don't draw on the paper like before. We even don't draw lines in computer. We model parts in
Everything is in 3D.
in 3D, and then computer takes the drawings automatically from 3D model. Computer shows all the dashed invisible lines, and you can turn the view how you want to have everything conveniently visible. So you don't need to keep in mind all the details, what is visible, what is invisible. You just need to build part correctly in 3D.
So this is how new is this technology?
When I studied in university in 2006, 2009, it was entering.
Oh, so it's only 10 years old.
Yeah, but it was very initial steps. Computers were not so powerful. You could build simple things, but now you can have assemblies out of thousands of parts, and graphic card is able to process it.
We have talked a bit about the Matrimandya Gardens. Can you give us some of your thoughts on the design of the gardens?
The design results implementation on physical level, which is usually going on by workers, by professional workers, stone masters, electricians, plumbers. But design process is itself can be regarded as implementation for some more subtle work, which can be finding and bringing and fixing the mother's consciousness in the gardens, the consciousness of those 12 powers which she mentioned, and which are actually consciousness of the universal mother, and the mother represented the consciousness of the universal mother also. The possibility of this work, I feel, is not yet recognized. This work can be done out of the mother's quotes, Rajan quotes, and the list of flowers with their spiritual significances, names, significances, comments, and the photos. This is what the mother gave, and since we have 12 gardens, not 12 pavilions, or not 12 parks, but gardens, then it means it's a place for plants, for flowers. And fortunately we have the list of these flowers, which and their essence is already highlighted, recognized, and brought up and in spiritual names and comments. So we can just take them and feel their names, their comments, what they are, what aspects of which of the 12 powers do they represent. It can be recognized mentally from high mind, from enlightened mind. It can also be recognized by feeling when you observe the flower or picture of the flower. And once we feel which aspect of which of these 12 powers is represented by the flower, we can assign it to one of the 12 gardens. And so, having number of flowers representing various aspects of the sense of the garden, of the power on the garden, if those flowers placed there, then it can give initial image, initial feeling of the garden for visitors and for designers. And then the concept of evolving gardens can start its manifestation, because evolution turns from and around some initial sense, something initial which should have presence, and for now it can be the most initial, the most exact is the flowers, spiritual significance on the flowers. And then the power, the consciousness, that the truth they carry can evolve, involving other tools of expression, such art, landscaping art, sculptural art, light installations. All these tools can be involved and become part of evolving garden.
I don't want you to find any difficulties from people, but what do you feel about the first 3 gardens or 4 gardens? What do you feel about existence, consciousness, bliss, and progress?
It was an attempt and it's quite positive, because to start is already a lot, because once we start we want to go ahead, so all the process starts. And those flowers, those gardens were basically, in my opinion, in my observation, were based on image which came out through geometry. For example, in existent garden you see the oval geometry, which is an image of existence, which is something close. There is nothing apart of the existence, and there is something born, something alive, evolving, appeared in this existence among the unconscious matter. This unconscious matter represented by stones, and especially this rock stone. And this, what appeared, is actually the life in the pond, the living beings, the plant and the fish. And it's kind of contrast between the life into this pond and the unconscious stone matter around. This contrast, I think, it aims to get this feeling of existence. A consciousness garden, people told me, it is based on the initial consciousness which manifested as a planes of consciousness shown as a cascade of waterfalls. Bliss Garden has something from stars, some image of the stars. That stars which has a shape of bear, which I don't know exactly represent a bliss in Vedic culture, a certain group of stars. And also it has a perfectly round shapes, that's balls which I feel aim to dance and represent bliss. So also design with essence manifested through geometrical form. And the Progress Garden is based on sketch of the mother about progress, the long progress of nature, and the direct progress which can be made by using yoga.
Would you want more flowers in the gardens? Would you want more varieties of flowers in each garden?
Because each flower which was given a spiritual name and a comment reflects a certain aspects of the universal power, universal qualities, or personal qualities, or steps on the way of yoga. It means it can find its place in one of 12 gardens and enrich this garden with one more aspect. In this regard, of course, it would be great to have as much flowers as possible in the gardens, assigned and placed correctly, so we can have more full, more complete, more various image of that 12 powers.
Yes.
Some flowers, they cannot grow in these climatic conditions.
Very true.
I have great hopes for designers and professionals, because I think in future it will be possible to create some glass houses with hidden air conditioning, very beautifully designed, to be a part of the garden, to be modest but functional and beautiful. And those glass houses, they can contain flowers which require special conditions to grow, such as roses or some northern plants from temperate climate. Of course, in case if people will feel this need, I feel they will, because to have one more flower with one more, representing one more aspect with its significance, it's wonderful to recognize this aspect in flower, to feel it, and it's so precious that I feel people may go for it, to go over these climatic difficulties, but to have these flowers.
You do know that Mother said there would be a mountain on the north when the lake was excavated, and on that mountain trees would be planted and snow would come. You know this?
I heard about this.
Mother has said this. So we will see major climate changes.
Or probably the mount will be so tall that if it reaches 2,000 meters altitude, then